people, I just wanted to take a moment and explain the meaning behind this portrait, behind this piece. Originally, this piece was supposed to be on paper, that's why you see me tracing. I wanted this piece to be a watercolor ink portrait, but my daughter, she was playing around in my art space and ended up spilling her bottle on it. So yes, it got quite a bit messed up. So I was happy that I went ahead and had a photo of my sketch so that I could just transfer into Procreate instead. So the meaning behind this is that I was going through a very hard time in my life, and this is supposed to be representing a really big decision that I could not get myself to make, and it was really tearing me up inside. Sometimes it still does, even though the decision has been made. But at the time of starting this this piece, I could not get myself to make the decision, and I kept having to talk myself out of it every time I went to do so, even though I knew that the decision, what was going on at the time, was ruining my life and it was keeping me back. I was so scared of what was on the other side. I still am scared of what's on the other side, that fear of that was holding me back. So the woman in red is supposed to represent that misery, that fear, that anger and hurt that I was feeling at the time and still sometimes am. That's why she is red and has horns, because even though she is beautiful, the outside look of her is like she's beautiful when you first look at her, but then when you get to know her, when you are holding on to her, you see how manipulative and conniving she is, and that hold that she has on the other woman it looks soft, but you can see that she has her claws out somewhat in order to look soft but actually be something that could hurt you as soon as she wants to. The hold is supposed to be endearing, but everything about her says otherwise. The horns also kind of like emulating the ugly truth that I refuse to acknowledge. And it really, really was so painful to think about. So I had to make her to where she looked like she had some type of pain on her face, but satisfied with the pain. I don't know if I really got that, if that is able to be conveyed with looking at this. And so the woman in purple, that purple, the color of seekers, the color of intuition. And my intuition knew that the pain that was coming from the toxicity of the situation, the pain that was coming from the hurt, I knew about it, and I knew it was coming, but I still chose to stay and go through it anyway. I still chose to cling on to that hurt. It's like in this portrait, the lunar moth is supposed to symbolize that change, because in many cultures, it does symbolize transformation. So in this portrait, all she has to do is just reach out and touch the moth, and everything for her would be changed and beautiful, and everything that she wants in life. But instead, she clings on to misery. She clings on to pain and hurt and anger instead, and cries about it because she knows that she's making the worst decision for herself, but doesn't know exactly how it's the worst because doesn't know exactly what's on the other side. That's the decision I've been racking myself with for years, and I have, every time I've made a step to move away, or took multiple steps to move away, I've always faltered and went back. And it's something that I'm not proud of, but I do have to acknowledge and take accountability for. That it is my fault that I kept staying in the situation, that I kept letting it take hold of my life the way it did. And for others, this could be relationships, this could be work, family, even with just going to school, knowing that this is not for you, but you're doing it anyway, even though it pains you. This could be any type of decision. And I wanted this to be to show how heavy this was, but I don't know if I got that, honestly. I don't know if I conveyed all of that in it. And I hope that when listening to the description and listening to what I was trying to push into this, that someone will get it and resonate with it. Because at first I didn't plan to share this because of how heavy it feels for me. Because especially if it was to get criticized as well, it may also just add a little bit to the hurt. But I still am wanting to grow in my artwork. But yes, this portrait took me 6 months, but I do feel like it was over 6 months, 8 months, because of September, the beginning of September, so a little over 8 months, or just about 8 months to do this portrait. And it's crazy to me to think about, because it got too painful eventually to continue at some point. And so I just left it and I stopped working on it for months, literally months. I don't think I worked on this consistently for, I want to say, at least 4 months out of that time, maybe 5. I got stuck because I was having trouble seeing what I wanted to put in this portrait. I was having trouble, making it the reality, what I was seeing in my head, making it the reality. And, it possibly was a skill issue or just a hurt issue. I'm not really sure. But it was something that I wanted to use as my therapy, like partial to my therapy for my situation. And so I hope that, that you will like the video. If you do, please like and subscribe. But, you don't give those out for free, so only if you so choose. But I do want to also mention that I have all of the brushes and such that I use in this portrait are up for sale on my Gumroad, and the link will be in the description, as well as on my skin rendering brushes, my inking brushes, and my hair brushes. I haven't really posted my landscaping brushes because I'm still working on them. They're not perfected to the way I would want them before posting them. So just skin rendering, hair, and inking brushes are up so far. And I also have some sketchbook mock-ups that you can use to display your work in any way that you so choose. I have right now 4 different colors, but I think 3 different styles of the sketchbook mock-ups. So you can also check that out if you would like, all on Gumroad, and soon to be on my Ko-fi. My Ko-fi is also open up for commissions. So yes, thank you and have a good rest of your day. All the brushes that I used for skin and hair are all linked below. Thank you again for watching. Hope you like and subscribe. Have a nice day.